Hey everyone, so we're in the studio in a minute and then I'll show you what it is I've been up to. I'm back down in the studio now. This is how the studio is looking at the moment. This piece I'm currently trying to cut from the surface, and you can see the time lapse of this now. Hey, so I hope the sound isn't too bad. I'm kind of yelling, so hopefully you can hear me. But it's just too dusty and kind of smoky in here to take the mask off. But yeah, it's done. So the piece is off the frame. Just the frame. It was a fair bit of work, but it went pretty well. There's not too much damage. A lot of it remains perfectly intact, and it's really nice to see the piece in its entirety without the wooden frame being here and down here. Yeah, it's something that I've been, you know, planning for a long time to see a piece like this, so it's really nice to see it in reality. There was little bits of damage at the top, and actually I put the chisel through the centre of the piece, but they're minor and they're going to be really easily patched when I take the next steps, which is reworking the surface.
Yesterday,
I've been working on this. This is being made, well, for a friend called Tim, so I refer to this as Tim's piece. So Tim's piece is, well, the surface is complete actually. And the only other thing really is these paintings that I did a while back. Well, one's on the floor there and the other one I've just placed over here. They need varnishing. Now the varnish, I mean, it's not very kind of interesting, I suppose. And there's a whole side of art that you don't really see, and that's the kind of mechanics of it and the physicality. I mean, pieces need to be sold, pieces need to be exhibited, you need to actually market yourself, and this is, well, kind of in lines with that. It's not this kind of creative process. They need varnishing for the simple fact that if you don't protect them, they deteriorate really quickly. I mean, in a year's time, if it's hung up, it gets all dusty and you can't remove the dust. That's really annoying. So this varnish layer just allows them to stay clean and in a much better quality for a longer period of time. So I'm making this damar varnish. So this is a bunch of damar crystals I've actually had lying around for ages. Yeah, so they're just not 100% sure. I think they're a resin from a tree. But it's a bit mean, as is kind of most of the traditional art materials. If you think of like turpentine and linseed oil, it's not very forgiving compared to, say, acrylic paint and water. But you sacrifice quality by doing that, and there's a reason why this is still around, and it's because it's fantastic quality. The fiddly bit is you have to soak them in a kind of resin bag for 3 days, soaked in turpentine, and then the resin dissolves in it, and you then filter out all the kind of little bits of debris that's left over. Now, the way that I was taught or learned how to do it was you kind of put the
the bits of resin in like a sack and then sink it into this into a jar. But I find it much easier to just put the crystals in a jar, shake them every other day. After about 3 days, most of it's dissolved, and then you filter out. You just run it through a cheesecloth or something, or a coffee filter, and yeah, then you're left with this really nice varnish. So I'm gonna make up the varnish today and just gonna crack on.
Later.
So I'm gonna leave it here for now because talking down here is a bit of a nightmare. And I'll see you next week. I've kind of got a big plan for next week. I'm going to discuss something quite close to me and a bit kind of on the theory side of my work rather than this practicality. But you'll understand there where the practical side comes from. Anyhow, this is getting a bit ridiculous, so I'll see you next week. Bye.
So with my friend Latif, we just had like avant eater, which is like we came down for dinner. And this is his street. And this is like the common, he was just saying a joke about, because this is a coffee shop where you buy weed, this is a sex shop, this is a brothel, and then here's the mosque. So on his days off, no, he's joking though, he goes and smokes a joint here, goes to sex, and then goes and prays when he feels bad about it.